You weren't born average, but somewhere along the way, mediocrity started feeling normal. You feel it, don't you? That quiet war between who you are and who you were told to be. You walk through your day doing what's expected, but your soul is starving for something more. Not louder, not busier, just real. And the truth is brutal. You're not being destroyed by enemies. You're being eroded by habits, little things, silent things, the invisible choices you make when no one's watching. You scroll instead of study. You react instead of reflect. You wait for the right time instead of becoming the right person. This is how potential dies, not with a bang, but with a sigh. You tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow, but you said that yesterday. You say, I just need motivation, but what you need is transformation. You think you're stuck because of circumstances, but what's really killing your momentum are the invisible rituals you've normalized. Let's be honest, the version of you that keeps tolerating average is addicted to comfort. But comfort is a liar. It promises peace and gives you regret. It whispers, take it easy, while your destiny fades into silence. You were meant to lead, but you've been trained to scroll. You were built for impact, but you've been taught to blend in. Every day you rehearse your old identity, while your real power lies dormant, not because it's gone, but because you never activated it. You've been feeding habits that shrink you, habits that soften your edge, habits that make you forget who you really are. Let me be clear, this is not about hustling harder. This is not about grinding for applause. This is about identity. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the standard of your systems, and systems are just habits in disguise. What you repeat becomes what you believe. What you tolerate becomes your truth. And some of you have been repeating the lie that says, I'm not ready, I'm not enough, I'm still figuring it out. No, you're not figuring it out. You're delaying the decision, because deciding means responsibility. Deciding means discipline. Deciding means burning the bridge behind you and walking like it's already yours. The life you're meant to live isn't waiting for permission. It's waiting for alignment. But alignment only comes when you demolish the habits that sabotage you. Let me name them: overthinking, procrastination, self-doubt, chronic comparison, excessive comfort, neglecting your body, scrolling into numbness, waiting for the perfect moment, surrounding yourself with low-frequency people, and the deadliest one, telling yourself you'll change one day. But one day doesn't exist. There's only now. This moment, this breath, this decision. You're not here by accident. This is the interruption. This is the mental reset. This is the day you trade average for identity, and it starts with this. You were never meant to be normal. You were trained to be normal. You were programmed to blend in. But that program is broken, and you feel it. Every time your chest tightens when you scroll past someone living their dream. Every time you shrink your voice so others feel comfortable. Every time you laugh when you're dying inside. You feel it, because that's the sound of your soul asking, is this it? And here's the answer. No, this is not it. This is the start. This is the confrontation. This is where you break the loop, because nothing will change until you change what you accept. If you keep tolerating distraction, you'll never develop discipline. If you keep escaping discomfort, you'll never evolve into your potential. If you keep waiting for a sign, this is it. This is the wake-up, the identity collision. The moment you look in the mirror and say, I'm not living like this anymore, because the old habits don't fit the new vision. The future doesn't recognize the excuses of your past. The highest version of you is allergic to your current comfort zone. You don't need more motivation. You need a new standard, a standard that says, I don't delay decisions. I don't settle for average. I don't need permission to become powerful. And if that feels unfamiliar, good. That's growth. That's the system resetting. That's your mind uninstalling the old identity and booting up the truth. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are becoming. And becoming is messy. Becoming is uncomfortable. Becoming is lonely at times. But becoming is worth it. Because the habits that destroy your potential don't scream. They whisper. And you have to be still enough to hear them and bold enough to break them. No more soft goals. No more half-effort mornings. No more convincing yourself that next week will be better. Change isn't found in what you wish for. It's activated by what you repeat. So ask yourself right now, what am I rehearsing every day? What identity am I strengthening? What energy am I tolerating in my space? Because if your habits don't match your vision, you're living in a contradiction. And the longer you stay in contradiction, the louder the inner war becomes. But today the war ends. Not because it's easy, but because you're deciding. This is not self-help. This is self-command. This is internal authority. This is you refusing to outsource your future. So breathe in, stand up, and say this to yourself. I don't play small. I don't rehearse average. I reset my system. I renew my mind. I rise now. This is the reset. Your subconscious doesn't care what's true. It only cares what's repeated. Let that sink in. You keep wondering why you feel stuck, why success feels distant, why your confidence is paper thin when it matters most. It's not because you're weak, it's because your programming is outdated. You've been repeating thoughts that betray you. You've been speaking words that weaken you. You've been rehearsing a version of yourself that was never real. I'm not ready. I'm not smart enough. I can't do this yet. And every time you say it, you reinforce it. You're not just thinking thoughts. You're building walls. Thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs become identity. Identity becomes destiny. But the beautiful truth is this. If you can repeat yourself into weakness, you can repeat yourself into power. That's the gateway. That's the hack. That's the access code no one taught you in school. Autosuggestion. The art of commanding your mind before the world gets to it. Napoleon Hill knew it. He didn't just study success. He reverse-engineered the minds of those who built empires. Henry Ford, he had no formal education. People called him a fool, but he repeated one phrase to himself until it became real. I will build a motor car for the multitudes. And he did, not because the world believed in him, but because he did first. Thomas Edison failed over 10,000 times. They laughed at him. They mocked his so-called inventions. But every day he told his mind, I haven't failed. I've just found another way it won't work. What was he doing? Programming his mind through repetition. Charles Schwab, not a steel worker, not a scientist, just a man who understood people. He walked, talked, and thought like a leader, long before anyone gave him the title. Why? Because he told himself who he was, every single day. And here's the part you can't ignore. They didn't wait to feel confident. They declared it first. Feelings follow focus, and focus is built by what you feed your mind daily. If you wake up and immediately consume chaos, don't be surprised when your life reflects it. If you speak fear, fear will find you. If you think smallness will surround you. But if you command your identity, if you install the truth through intentional repetition, the world has to respond. This is not fake it till you make it. This is speak it until you see it. So here's your new ritual. Every morning, before your feet touch the ground, you speak you into alignment. Say it with power. Say it like it's already yours. Say it until your nervous system starts believing again. I am built for this. I command my mind. I direct my energy. I create outcomes. I don't beg for success. I expect it because I prepared for it. Don't wait to feel ready. Feelings are followers. Speak identity first. Feelings will chase it. Repetition is not weakness. It's how your brain learns. It's how your belief gets rewired. It's how the old version of you dies, and the real one is born. You've repeated self-doubt long enough. Now repeat certainty. Repeat ownership. Repeat power. Because your subconscious isn't listening to your dreams. It's listening to your rituals. It doesn't respond to what you hope for. It responds to what you confirm daily. So let me ask you, what are you affirming? What phrases do you speak in the silence of your own mind? What loops do you rehearse when no one's watching? Because those loops are your life, not your wishes, not your goals, not your vision board. Your loops, and those loops can be rewritten. But you have to choose your words like they build worlds, because they do. It's time to become intentional. You don't just have thoughts, you train them. You don't just react, you program yourself to respond. Start here. 3 minutes every morning. Speak your identity aloud, loud enough for your subconscious to feel it. Look in the mirror and say, I am not my past. I am my patterns. And I choose new ones. I don't repeat fear. I repeat focus. I don't rehearse failure. I rehearse faith. Do it again at night, before bed. Why? Because your subconscious never sleeps. And whatever you repeat before sleep gets downloaded into your next day. This is subconscious engineering. You're not changing your life. You're rebuilding your internal code. It won't happen by accident. It happens by ritual. It happens by repetition. The old you was passive. The new you is deliberate. The old you reacted to life. The new you designs it. So say it now. Say it like it's law. Say it like your destiny depends on it. Because it does. I rewire my mind with every word I speak. I am not a product of luck. I am the result of repeated power. I don't just dream. I decide. I do. I dominate. This is your new program. Say it daily. Say it clearly. Say it until doubt disappears. Say it until belief becomes automatic. Because once it becomes automatic, you don't chase your vision. You embody it. And when you embody it, your world has no choice but to shift. You cannot serve two identities. One must die. This is the law. This is the threshold. This is the fire every high performer walks through. You keep asking for elevation, but you're still entertaining the version of you that avoids commitment. You want transformation, but you're holding on to safety nets like they're sacred. You cannot become everything while still protecting something that's no longer aligned. This is where the average person turns back. But you're not average. You've been hearing the call. You've been feeling the urgency. Not from the world, from within. The version of you that's indecisive, that second guesses, that says maybe one day. It doesn't belong in the future you're building. You don't need more options. You need elimination. You burn the bridge behind you, so the only direction is forward. This is not recklessness. This is responsibility, the deepest kind. The responsibility to evolve. Look back through history. Greatness was never born from indecision. Hernan Cortés arrived in the New World and ordered his ships to be burned. No way back, no retreat. The only path was victory. That wasn't madness, that was mental warfare. He understood, when retreat is an option, progress is a suggestion. Same with Edison, same with Ford, same with Carnegie. None of them played halfway. None of them tiptoed through their destiny. They decided, and then they moved like it was final. You've been stuck not because you're incapable, but because you keep negotiating with old versions of yourself. You don't need to try harder. You need to kill the plan B, because until you do, you will always flinch when pressure rises. Half-committed people always fold. They crumble under resistance. They talk loud but move slow. Not you. Not anymore. You're here to say it out loud. I've already decided. Say it like it's your heartbeat. Say it until the fear evaporates. Say it until the old self disappears into silence. Because decision is your weapon now. The second you decide, not wish, not hope, not maybe, but decide, you flip the frequency of your life. Everything begins responding to that vibration. New people show up. Ideas hit your brain like lightning. Opportunities come into view. Why? Because you stopped playing neutral. You picked a lane. You became unavailable to anything less than alignment. You don't get clarity from waiting. You get clarity from moving. You don't build confidence from thinking. You build it from deciding. Say it, I've already decided. That's the loop now. That's the identity. That's the root of momentum. Because indecision is a thief. It steals your time. It drains your energy. It dilutes your power. But decision, it's a multiplier. It collapses time. It locks your focus. It hardens your will. Decide who you are. Decide what you no longer tolerate. Decide what habits are dead from this moment on. Because the universe doesn't respond to half signals. It mirrors your certainty. And when you move like it's done, it starts unfolding like it's destiny. Burn the bridge. Delete the escape route. Shut the door to mediocrity. And throw away the key. This is the level where high performers separate. The level where greatness is no longer a goal. It's an identity. Every time you hesitate, you strengthen the old self. Every time you delay, you deny your future. But every time you decide, you declare war on average. And the only way to win that war is to stop giving yourself the option to lose. You don't see how it goes. You go all in. You don't test the waters. You dive deep and burn the map. Because when your mind knows there's no fallback, you become dangerous. You become focused. You become unshakable. That's when your moves stop asking for permission. That's when your goals stop being suggestions. That's when your habits stop being reactions and start becoming weapons. There is no plan B. There is no backup. There is no maybe. Just this: I've already decided. So lock it in. Say it again. Say it until your bones believe it. I've already decided, because once you decide, the pain has purpose. The delays make sense. The struggle becomes strategy. You don't flinch. You don't fold. You don't negotiate with fear. You're not waiting to feel brave. You are brave because you've already decided to be. This is the law of no fallback. You either evolve or dissolve. You either commit or you coast. There is no in between. So speak it again, not for hype, but for reprogramming. I've already decided. I walk like it's done. I move like I'm chosen. I act like my future is non-negotiable. You don't hope anymore. You own. You don't wish anymore. You work. You don't ask anymore. You activate. And from this moment forward, you only move in the direction of your decision. Let the old self scream. Let fear rise. Let uncertainty knock. But your answer remains the same. I've already decided. You're not just a product of your habits. You're a reflection of your environment. Want to change your life? Audit your atmosphere, because energy is contagious and identity is viral. You don't just rise because of discipline. You rise because of proximity, to power, to purpose, to people who make pressure feel like purpose. Here's the truth you can't ignore. Your potential doesn't just get fed by your thoughts. It gets starved or supercharged by the people you allow near your mind. Every text you reply to, every conversation you entertain, every person you tolerate, they're either building your future or burying it slowly. Mediocre minds normalize mediocrity. High-performance minds demand alignment. If you're the sharpest one in the room, you're in the wrong room. Because greatness is a collective frequency. And if your circle doesn't challenge your identity, you'll default back to comfort. That's not judgment. That's mathematics. You become like the minds you align with. That's the rule. That's the pattern. That's the secret behind every mastermind in history. Napoleon Hill didn't just write about success. He studied it from the inside out. He found that Carnegie, Ford, and Edison all had one thing in common. They surrounded themselves with minds that stretched them, not coddled them, not agreed with them, stretched them. They created what Hill called the Mastermind Alliance, a collective of intentional minds, moving toward one vision, one mission, with no weak links. Because in a true mastermind, every conversation sharpens your standards. Every meeting raises your frequency. Every connection reminds you who you are. You're not just exchanging ideas, you're exchanging identity. So ask yourself, who are you letting shape your subconscious? Who are you allowing into your daily algorithm? Who gets access to your ambition? Because that access must be earned. You don't let average energy sit at your table. You don't let laziness talk you out of purpose. You don't let fear whisper into your plans. From now on, access to your atmosphere is by invitation only. This is where weak habits die. This is where high standards breathe. If someone's presence doesn't align with your direction, they're not part of your design. It doesn't mean hate. It means elevation. It means awareness. You're no longer available for conversations that cost you clarity. You're no longer available for energy that drags your identity backward. You're no longer available for company that doesn't speak to your destiny. Say this and mean it. I do not allow weak energy in my atmosphere. You're building something sacred. You're forging a frequency that demands protection. Think about your phone. You guard its battery life like it's gold. You close background apps. You dim the brightness. You protect the charge. Why? Because you need it to function. Now ask yourself, do you guard your mind with the same urgency? Do you monitor who drains you? Who dims your light? Who opens background apps in your life that you never authorized? You must, because energy is your edge, and environment is your ecosystem. You can't grow mangoes in the desert. You can't train for war in a room full of doubters. You can't hear your calling when surrounded by noise. You want clarity. Clean your circle. You want acceleration. Curate your ecosystem. The people you align with will either call you higher or justify staying low. It's not about perfection. It's about alignment. Are they hungry for greatness? Do they move with purpose? Do they speak with conviction? Or do they joke about big dreams like it's cute? Do they shrink your vision so they feel more comfortable? Do they smile in your face but whisper behind your back? This is not paranoia. This is precision. Every empire has guards. Every mission has a gate. And your life deserves the same boundaries. Not everyone gets to go with you. Not everyone gets to speak into your process. Not everyone is meant for the chapter you're stepping into. And that's not loss. That's leadership. Your future requires emotional security, and that begins with mental sovereignty. You're not just choosing habits, you're choosing frequencies. You're not just cutting people off, you're preserving your power. So build your circle like it's sacred. Build it like your future depends on it, because it does. Only allow minds that match your momentum. Only welcome voices that speak in vision, not gossip. Only align with people who challenge your average and pull you into greatness, because alignment isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. Let them call you cold. Let them call you distant. Let them call you obsessed. But when they see what you've built, they'll call you chosen. Say it again. Say it loud. Say it until every cell in your body remembers. I do not allow weak energy in my atmosphere, because when you guard your atmosphere, you protect your evolution. And when you protect your evolution, you become unshakable. You weren't born to do the bare minimum. You weren't built for mediocrity. There is a code wired into the greatest minds on earth, and it's time you activate it. It's called the law of over-delivery, not overworking, not overextending, but over-delivering. Moving from identity, not obligation. Average minds do what's required. Extraordinary minds exceed expectations, not for applause, but because it's who they are. The greatest habit you'll ever build isn't in your calendar. It's in your character. Over-deliver. In silence. In strength. In spirit. Because excellence isn't something you reach. It's something you release. It's not a finish line. It's a frequency. Think of Charles Schwab. He didn't just meet quotas. He inspired production on levels people didn't think were possible. Why? Because he walked into every room like he was the standard. He didn't beg for status. He embodied service. Andrew Carnegie didn't hire him for results. He hired him for presence. A man who radiated value. Because when you live to over-deliver, you don't chase opportunity. Opportunity chases you. And let's talk about Henry Ford. He didn't just build machines. He built momentum. He didn't care what was expected. He shattered expectations until they had to build new definitions. That's the power of someone who over-delivers. They don't ask what's required. They ask what reflects my identity. This is where you kill one of the most dangerous habits of all. Doing the minimum just to get by. That habit is slow poison. It erodes your self-respect. It tells your mind you're just here to survive. No, you're here to set the tone. You're here to lead with energy. You're here to install excellence as your default setting. When over-delivery becomes identity, you don't just outperform others. You outperform your old self. You detach from outcome. You detach from praise. You give everything you've got because that's who you are now. Listen close. This world will try to reward shortcuts. It'll praise hacks, celebrate luck. But those who build empires, those who leave legacy, those who outlast trends, storms, and setbacks, they build brick by brick, habit by habit, standard by standard. They don't stop at 100%. They push to 120%, even when no one's watching. That's not workaholism. That's identity. And when you lead with that level of energy, people feel it before you speak. They trust you. They follow you. They invest in you. Because energy doesn't lie. You want to magnetize your destiny? Show up every single day as if you've already been hired by your higher self. Over-deliver in how you speak, in how you listen, in how you execute, in how you lead. You don't cut corners. You elevate everything you touch, even when it's hard, even when no one claps, even when it seems like no one notices, because you notice, and that's enough. You start building an identity so powerful, your own reflection starts clapping. You exceed expectations not to impress, but to express who you are becoming. From now on, you don't wait to feel motivated. You move from mission. You're not here to compete. You're here to completely redefine what's possible. And yes, it will feel exhausting some days. Yes, it will feel thankless. Yes, it will test your limits. But those who exceed limits are the ones who create new standards. This is your edge now. This is your discipline. This is your spiritual muscle. Say it out loud. Say it with intention. Say it like your future is listening. I exceed expectations because it's who I am. Say it again. I exceed expectations because it's who I am. That's your identity now. Not just when it's easy, not just when it's noticed, but every single time you show up. You write that message 10% sharper. You take that call 10% more focused. You give that gift 10% deeper. Because your standard is no longer based on the situation, it's based on the signal you send to yourself. And when you live like that, you become unstoppable. You no longer get surprised by success. You expect it because you've been planting seeds of excellence all along. You no longer hope for breakthroughs. You become one. So lock this in. Repeat it. Engrave it into your thinking. I exceed expectations because it's who I am. Not sometimes, every time. You don't need a spotlight. You are the light. You don't need a stage. You walk like the standard. You're not waiting for approval. You already gave it to yourself. And from this moment forward, every move you make carries the weight of a new identity. You're not average. You're not reactive. You're not just surviving. You're over-delivering. And now you move like it. You've heard the words. You've felt the fire. Now it's time to lock it in. This isn't just another video. This is a ritual, a recalibration, a return to who you were always meant to be. Let's burn it into your subconscious, because repetition isn't boring. Repetition is reprogramming. The mind doesn't change because it heard something once. It changes when it hears something daily, hourly, until it becomes automatic. Your subconscious doesn't care what's true. It cares what's repeated. You don't become confident by thinking positively once. You become confident by installing identity with action. I don't hesitate. I build. I become. Say it again. Louder, slower. I don't hesitate. I build. I become. You walk different after that. You breathe different, because you're no longer operating on hope. You're moving from certainty. Faith in action is the highest frequency you'll ever walk in. Faith isn't blind. Faith sees beyond the visible. It says, I might not see the finish line, but I run like it's mine. I might not have all the proof, but I move like it's already done. You don't wait to feel ready. You ritualize your readiness. It's not what you do when it's easy that transforms your life. It's what you do when no one's watching. When the room is silent, when the pressure feels like pain, that's when ritual rewrites identity. You want to shift. Don't chase motivation. Build a system of reminders. Wake up and speak your identity aloud. Not affirmations for comfort, declarations for transformation. I move with purpose. I attract alignment. I over-deliver because it's who I am. You don't need a mood to act. You act and the mood follows. That's faith. That's fire. That's freedom. Repetition becomes belief. Belief becomes identity. Identity becomes destiny. This is how you override the old self. By choosing new thoughts on loop. By embodying new action without waiting for permission. By declaring, this is who I am now. No backup plans. No fallback. No maybe. You don't dance with doubt. You marry the mission. Every breath you take now is sacred. Every move is intentional. Every decision becomes a vote for your future. You don't entertain distractions. You don't keep contacts that call your old self back. You don't explain your evolution to people who refuse to grow. You simply move with boldness, with repetition, with relentless clarity. Say it again. I act like it's done. I walk like it's already mine. Because you are the answer, not the explanation, not the excuse, not the potential. The result. Let the world wonder what changed. Let them talk. Let them speculate. You don't owe them closure. You owe yourself completion. You've outgrown the identity that hesitates. You've buried the version of you that waits for the perfect moment. You've stepped into a frequency few ever reach. Faith in motion. You no longer need evidence to believe. You become the evidence. You no longer chase validation. You walk in confirmation. Every step you take now is a seed. Every choice, a vote. Every ritual, a resurrection of your greatest self. And no, you won't feel it every day. You won't wake up every morning with clarity or fire, but you'll show up anyway. You'll move like it's done anyway. You'll build like you already won anyway, because that's what identity does. It doesn't wait. It walks. So here it is, one final loop, one final breath of transformation. Say it with me. I don't hesitate. I build. I become. I exceed expectations, because it's who I am. I do not allow weak energy in my atmosphere. I act like it's done. I walk like it's already mine. And now let the world wonder what changed. You don't owe them answers. You are the answer.